Welcome back to World History Explored. In today's episode, we're exploring the fascinating history of Latvia, a nation that has weathered centuries of conquest, cultural shifts, and resilience to become the independent country we know today. So, sit back and let's explore Latvia's journey from its ancient past to the modern era. Ancient Latvia, the land of tribes. Latvia's history begins thousands of years ago. Around 9000 BCE, the area we now call Latvia was first settled by humans as the Ice Age glaciers retreated. These early inhabitants were hunter-gatherers, living off the region's dense forests, rivers, and Baltic Sea coastline. Archaeological findings, such as stone tools, amber artifacts, and burial mounds, provide glimpses into their daily lives and survival strategies. By the 3rd millennium BCE, the ancient Finno-Ugric peoples were replaced or assimilated by Indo-European Balts, the ancestors of modern-day Latvians and Lithuanians. These Balts not only developed a unique language, but also formed spiritual and cultural practices centered around nature worship. Seasonal festivals, such as midsummer celebrations, played a significant role in their lives, many of which persist in modern Latvian traditions. By the 1st millennium CE, the territory was home to several Baltic tribes, including the Latgalians, Salonians, Semigalians, and Curonians. Each tribe had distinct traditions, governance, structures, and ways of life. They often engaged in both cooperation and conflict with one another. Trade flourished during this period, with amber, often called the Baltic gold, being a prized commodity. Amber from Latvia found its way to ancient Egypt, Greece, and Rome, linking the region to broader trade networks. The Crusades and German influence. The early Middle Ages brought dramatic changes for Latvia. In the 12th century, Christian missionaries began arriving in the region, though the Baltic tribes were deeply rooted in their pagan beliefs. Unlike much of Europe, where Christianity spread through gradual conversion, the Baltic region faced a more violent transition. By the late 12th century, German crusaders, including the Livonian Brothers of the Sword, launched campaigns to Christianize the pagan Baltic tribes. These military campaigns were brutal and led to the subjugation of the local tribes. The Crusaders established control over the region, creating a feudal society dominated by German nobility. In 1201, Riga, now Latvia's capital, was founded by Bishop Albert of Buxhovden. Riga quickly became a key trading hub in the Baltic Sea region, joining the Hanseatic League, a powerful economic and trade alliance. Despite the Crusaders' dominance, the local tribes resisted fiercely, especially the Semigalians and Curonians. If you're enjoying this exploration so far, please like, subscribe, and share our channel, World History Explored. Your support helps us bring more fascinating content to history enthusiasts everywhere. These tribes fought valiantly to preserve their independence, but by the mid-13th century, most of Latvia was under German control. This period marked the beginning of a long history of foreign rule, setting the stage for centuries of struggle. The region's local culture and language persisted, albeit under significant pressure from foreign powers. The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth and Swedish rule. In the 16th century, the Protestant Reformation swept through Europe, reaching Latvia. The influence of the Livonian order weakened, and a series of wars ensued over control of the region. The Treaty of Vilnius in 1561 brought most of Latvia under the rule of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, while the Duchy of Courland and Semigalia became a semi-independent vassal state. Courland, despite its small size, became a surprising maritime power during this time. The duchy established colonies in Tobago, in the Caribbean, and Gambia in Africa, showcasing an ambitious and adventurous spirit. These ventures, though short-lived, reflected the region's aspirations for global influence and marked Latvia's entry into global exploration and trade. By the early 17th century, Sweden emerged as a dominant force in Northern Europe. During the Swedish rule of parts of Latvia, including Riga, significant reforms were introduced. The Swedes implemented administrative and educational changes, promoting literacy, establishing schools, and reforming local governance. Riga became one of the most important cities in the Swedish Empire and a center of trade and culture. However, their rule was short-lived, as larger geopolitical struggles brought new powers into the Baltic region. Russian Empire, centuries of Tsarist rule. In 1721, after the Great Northern War, Latvia became part of the Russian Empire. The Treaty of Nystad officially transferred Swedish-controlled Livonia to Tsar Peter the Great. Over the following decades, Latvia's nobility, primarily German, retained significant influence, while the Latvian peasantry endured harsh conditions under serfdom. The 19th century brought significant changes. Serfdom was abolished in 1819 in Courland and Livonia, allowing peasants to own land and move freely. These reforms spurred the rise of a Latvian national identity. During this time, the Latvian language and culture began to flourish, fueled by the National Awakening movement in the late 19th century. Figures like Krišjānis Bērns, who collected and preserved Latvian folk songs known as dainas, became symbols of this cultural renaissance. Meanwhile, newspapers, literature, and theater in the Latvian language fostered a sense of unity among the population. However, the Russian Empire's policy of Russification in the late 19th century sought to suppress local languages and cultures, including Latvian. Schools and institutions were forced to use Russian, creating tensions that would eventually contribute to revolutionary movements in the early 20th century. World War I and the birth of independence. World War I brought devastation to Latvia. The Eastern Front tore through the region, displacing hundreds of thousands of people and leaving towns and villages in ruins. By 1915, German forces occupied parts of Latvia, further destabilizing the country. The war also laid the foundation for significant political change. Amid the chaos of the Russian Revolution in 1917, Latvians saw an opportunity for independence. Latvian riflemen, who had fought in the Russian army, played a crucial role in defending their homeland. On November 18, 1918, the Republic of Latvia was declared in Riga. However, the road to independence was fraught with challenges. Latvia faced a brutal war of independence against German and Russian forces, including the Bolsheviks. By 1920, the Treaty of Riga secured Latvia's sovereignty, and the country began its journey as an independent state. Interwar Latvia, a brief era of freedom. The 1920s and 1930s were a time of rebuilding for Latvia. The country's economy relied heavily on agriculture, forestry, and trade. Riga emerged as a vibrant cultural and industrial hub, attracting artists, writers, and intellectuals. The Latvian Song Festival, first held in 1873, became an important cultural tradition that celebrated national pride. Latvia's democratic system thrived initially, with universal suffrage and progressive social policies making it a beacon of hope for the region. Educational reforms improved literacy rates, and the arts flourished. However, political instability and the rise of authoritarianism in Europe influenced Latvia. In 1934, Prime Minister Kārlis Ulmanis dissolved parliament and established an authoritarian regime. Ulmanis's government improved infrastructure, promoted national pride, and supported cultural initiatives. Yet, political freedoms were curtailed, and the seeds of future turmoil were sown. World War II and Soviet occupation. Latvia's independence was short-lived. In 1939, the Nazi-Soviet pact divided Eastern Europe into spheres of influence, and Latvia fell under Soviet control. In June 1940, the Soviet Union occupied Latvia, incorporating it as a Soviet republic. This period was marked by mass arrests, deportations, and executions of Latvian citizens, particularly targeting the educated elite. In 1941, Nazi Germany invaded the Soviet Union, occupying Latvia. The Nazis perpetrated horrific crimes, including the Holocaust, which claimed the lives of nearly all of Latvia's Jewish population. Latvian resistance fighters, including the Forest Brothers, sought to liberate their homeland but faced immense challenges. By 1944, the Soviet Union retook Latvia, leading to another wave of repression and deportations. Entire families were sent to Siberian labor camps, leaving a lasting scar on the nation's collective memory. Soviet propaganda sought to erase Latvia's pre-war independence from public consciousness, but underground movements and cultural preservation efforts kept hope alive. Soviet era: life behind the Iron Curtain. From 1945 to 1991, Latvia remained a part of the Soviet Union. This era was marked by significant industrialization and urbanization. Riga became a major industrial center, attracting workers from other Soviet republics, which altered the country's demographics. By the 1980s, ethnic Latvians made up only about 52% of the population, fueling fears of cultural erosion. Despite Soviet efforts to suppress Latvian culture, resistance persisted. Latvian intellectuals and activists worked to preserve their language, folklore, and traditions, laying the groundwork for future independence movements. Protests and samizdat publications, underground dissident literature, kept the spirit of independence alive during these dark times. The Singing Revolution and restored independence. The 1980s brought a wave of political change across the Soviet Union. Latvia's path to independence was part of the broader Baltic Singing Revolution, a peaceful movement that used music and cultural expression to protest Soviet rule. In 1989, the Baltic Way demonstration saw over 2 million people form a human chain across Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, symbolizing their unity in seeking freedom. Songs like Gaismas Pils, Castle of Light, became anthems of hope and resistance. On August 21, 1991, following the failed Soviet coup attempt, Latvia declared its full independence. The Soviet Union recognized Latvia's independence later that year, and the country began rebuilding as a sovereign state. Post-independence, Latvia: challenges and growth. The 1990s were a period of transition for Latvia. The country faced economic hardships as it shifted from a Soviet-style planned economy to a market-based system. However, Latvia's determination paid off. In 2004, Latvia joined both the European Union and NATO, solidifying its place in the Western political and economic sphere. Over the next 2 decades, Latvia became known for its digital innovation and strong cultural identity. Riga, with its stunning Art Nouveau architecture, was named a European Capital of Culture in 2014. Latvia also focused on integrating into the European community while addressing challenges such as emigration and demographic shifts. Latvia in the 21st century. Latvia's journey through the early 21st century was shaped by resilience and adaptation. The 2008 global financial crisis hit the country hard, but Latvia implemented bold austerity measures and rebounded stronger than before. By 2014, Latvia adopted the euro, further integrating into the European economy. Latvia also took steps to address the lingering effects of Soviet occupation, including promoting Latvian language education and commemorating its independence struggles. However, challenges remain, such as managing relations with neighboring Russia and addressing demographic shifts caused by emigration. Meanwhile, festivals, traditions, and art continue to play a vital role in uniting Latvians worldwide. From its ancient tribal beginnings to its modern status as a proud European nation, Latvia's history is one of resilience and reinvention. Despite centuries of foreign domination, the Latvian people have preserved their culture, language, and national identity. Today, Latvia stands as a testament to the enduring spirit of a small nation with a rich and vibrant history. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Latvia's past. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more episodes from World History Explored. Share your thoughts in the comments below and let us know what country or topic you'd like us to explore next. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring history.